Yo, yo, yo. How you doing? Looks like you guys want to trade euro today, huh? All right, I guess we should just get going. What do you stink? Smell like a plan? All right, good morning, good morning. Happy Monday. Another trading week is ahead for us. Lots of very interesting things going on in this world. We have lots of news, the scheduled kind of news. We call them events. That's where you would employ an event-driven strategy. But we also have, so those events would be like ISM services, that would be non-farm payrolls, that would be ADP. But we also have Powell testimony to Congress on Wednesday and to the Senate on Thursday, or vice versa. And, that could be interesting. So, not going to be a boring week. So I'm looking forward to spending the time with you. So anyways, welcome to Forex.Today, the YouTube community of more than 20,000 foreign exchange traders. We gather here today to conduct technical and fundamental analysis with the overriding goal of planning our trades in advance. Because trading is risky, not appropriate for everyone, your past performance, good or bad, is not necessarily indicative of future results. But please, stay small, stay humble, focus on the long term, and never risk money you cannot afford to lose. Hi, my name is Wayne. I like coffee. I can tell because it's in front of me. I like fancy cars. You know what? I was at the Concours d'Elegance and I paid for VIP parking. So I parked right on the golf course at the Ritz-Carlton on Amelia Island, Florida. And next to me was a Ferrari F40. And next to that was a Ford GT. My wife's like, a Mustang? I'm like, that's not a Mustang. Come on, baby. That's a Ford GT. Yeah. That's a Ferrari killer. So anyways, each one of those cars, I would have to guess, is at least $3 million. So anyways, and people drove that? I said to my son, I'm like, I wouldn't feel comfortable driving that up the onto the grass. I mean, like, oh my God. But anyways, people did. So if you like fancy cars, you're like, ooh, nice. So cool. So we got a lot going on. It's going to be, like I said, a very nice trading week. And there's updates to quantbox.co that are nearly done. Some of those updates to QuantBox haven't even been released, and they are done. But there's a big update we're nearly ready to release. So I'm looking forward to that. Traders.co is nearly done, and that should be released in the next couple of weeks, and I am super excited about that. The problem is there's some features on Traders.co that are kind of banned by brokers. So I'm not sure how to do it. It's going to take some thought. I might need some advice from you. I don't want to step on toes and all that kind of stuff. But anyways, if you're going to use a service like Traders.co, you're going to need a broker like Traders Way. They're an ECN. And I spoke with them about this last week, and I'm like, you need to check this out. And they're like, yeah, well, send us the details. I'm like, look, I just want to make sure, I'm telling people you're an ECN and you don't B-book. And he's like, we don't B-book. I'm like, yeah, so do you have a problem with this? And they're like, well, no, but send us details. We might be into it. So anyways, it was a good conversation. If your broker B-books you, which is a strategy for brokers to make money, and the way that works is they ultimately trade against you. They match you with other clients, and then anything else they either trade against that or whatever. And in many cases, your unscrupulous broker, if you want to look at it that way, would benefit if you lost money, right? And that's why this technology they've passed on, because what if it made you successful? So I'm not saying it'll make you successful. I'm just saying that brokers are worried about it making you successful. I'm like, well, I'm not a broker. And I recommend Traders Way. They're an ECN, and they don't have a problem with your success. In fact, they want you to be successful. So anyways, I got to be careful when I finally launch Traders. Some of those features, I might have to put a warning on it. I'm serious. I might have to put a warning on this. Like, if you become too successful, your broker might kick you off the platform. Which is strange, isn't it? And then they come after me. And I'm like, well, hell's bells. I just want you to be successful, right? But I'm putting my butt on the line. So anyways, if you can, you should check out Traders Way. They're an ECN, which means when you click buy or sell, it goes right into the liquidity pool. Almost choked on my coffee there. So anyways, you probably want that, is what I'm saying. So what's this Traders thing? TRADARS.co. This should launch in 2 weeks. It's extraordinary. We made leaps and bounds as far as progress last week. We're going to start putting some ribbons and bows on this thing. I'm only going to launch it to people on this list. And all I can tell you is it's all technical analysis, AI-driven, and it's extraordinary. There's going to be a standard service, which is appropriate for day trading and swing trading. And there'll be a premium service, which has a lot of different aspects to it, but I'll say incorporates all time frames, but includes scalping, includes, how would you say it, event-driven pattern recognition. And so there's some pretty cool advanced features. And then one of the things I'm supposed to get this week, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be done, is also email alerts. So like 3 or 4 times a day, or when they appear, you'll get multi-time frame confluence or correlation. So not only is traders looking for patterns on all time frames, for the premium subscribers, it'll say, hey, on pound yen, we see bullish patterns on 3 or 4 time frames all at the same time. And here they are. and will alert you and send you that. And maybe that makes it more likely to succeed. That's the idea, right? That was the conversation I had with the developers where I'm like, we have all this data, but what happens when you get 3 time frames all say the same thing? They're like, well, that would probably increase your probability. And I would think, and I thought, yeah, well, it probably would increase your probabilities. Then I'm like, oh my God, people would want to know that. So anyways, so like epically awesome. I'm not going to show you what it looks like. You're either into it or you're not. Okay. So if you want technical analysis done for you by artificial intelligence, like an analyst working for a portfolio manager, if you want to, this is another way to act like a professional trader, even though, quote unquote, you are just a retail trader. Those days are dead. Those days are over. There's no excuse now for you to just be a retail Forex trader. So anyways, epically cool. On the flip side of that, equal and opposite amazement, of course, is Quant box. And like when you get to this page here, over the last 5 or 6 weeks, this one page on QuantBox has been a lifesaver. Or should I say an account saver? Just this one page out of all the many pages. There's a lot of complexity going on at QuantBox. But let me just say to the world out there, if you've lost a significant amount of money over the last 5 weeks because you've been trying to like, you know, you're like, man, this is frustrating. People are trading against me and the correlations have broken down. The stock market's going up and the dollar should be weak, but it's strong, and the yens should be strong, but they're weak. And you're like, I just can't catch a trend, and you've been losing money. $79 would have fixed you. I mean, angels are crying. Tears are going to fall from the sky. You've lost money simply because you didn't know. And you're willing to lose money but not pay for an $80 service. That helps you organize your trading so it makes logical sense. You would have known that for weeks, and we've known about it, and we talk about it all the time. Now, something did change today, and the video is on the YouTube channel for QuantBox, which is youtube.com/@QuantBox. And where is it? This one. Okay. It's coming out in 2 hours, and you can get an update. If you ain't got no money, that'll help. But if you have $80 a month, especially if you're losing money, you got to get on the clue train. Now this is like an associate working for you, watching all the fundamentals and putting them together in organized reports so that you can make informed investment decisions. And now I have a service that uses AI to do fundamentals for you. I have an AI service that does technicals for you. And there's no reason now that you should trade like an amateur trader. Your Forex trading business, or gold and oil and Bitcoin and stock market, right? You should be running that small business as a professional institutional business. You have all the same tools now. Instead of costing hundreds of thousands of dollars a month, it's a couple $100 a month. I mean, insanity. And if you're not on that, or if you don't see the value in that, oh my God. Yeah. Yeah, welcome back, man. Yeah, TK's in the house. All right, so let's see what you guys want to do today. All right, a lot of euro, huh? All right, well, let's take a look. Now, if I could, I would do a follow-up question. My follow-up question for you would be why? Now you're like, well, Euro's got a bid right now. Or the stock market's been up. Friday was a monster bullish day. Okay. 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 Thank you, Maida. Don't forget my charming wit. Mm-hmm. You're like, yes, that too. Look at this guy. Yeah. Yeah, cool. So anyway, so Euro's got a bid. That's cool. So that's on the short run. We can look at a longer run here. Euro's okay. Swissy very weak. That's risk on. Oh, you like the vol on gold? Really? Okay. I'm not. Yeah, I found it slow actually, Jeremiah. But anyways, I'm not going to argue with you. If you like it, you like it. Sweet. I wonder if we can find something you like even more. So, dollar deciding whether it wants to play this supportive. Now, this is longer term trends, guys. This should be on a daily. Let me move that. Oh, that should be daily. Okay. G'day, Adam. How are ya? How's your mum? Morning, Chrissy. Okay. Now look at this. What do you think? Is that a reversal? Well, it could be. You have probably... Oh, I'm doing really good. Thank you. If you reviewed the Commitment of Traders report, you would know, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, some useful information about Kiwi. Okay. Yeah, oh, thank you. Yeah. I was on the beach 2 days ago. Yesterday? Was it yesterday? No, 2 days ago. I was on the beach. Yeah, it's a good month, I suppose. If it's winter and you've been to Florida twice, southern Florida and northern Florida, I have to hit central Florida. But anyways, look at the Kiwi, man. Is this a trend? Are you going to catch some bid? And, well, if you reviewed the Commitment to Traders report, you've already seen the useful information about New Zealand. So let me do a poll here. Let me do a poll. Be honest, too, because this is anonymous, so there's no benefit. Okay? Have you reviewed the latest COT report? Yes or no? And then how about this? I'm going to add one. Be honest, it's anonymous. I don't know what the COT is. Cool. Let me know. It helps me. Right on, TK. I appreciate that. Well, I've been if you will, let's say restructuring sort of what I'm offering to the trading community around the philosophy of institutional trading. So this idea that you have an analyst working for you and an associate working for you, and I teach you how to be. I've always taught the portfolio manager style investing and trading, not just scalping, not just trading, but thinking about why the market is moving and paying attention to central banking and making longer term investments, not just skippity scalp, and building portfolios. That philosophy has been around for 20 years. So to have different services now, because we have the technology to do it, allows you to kind of reorganize and say, hey man, when you're ready, start folding these different pieces or these different tools into your toolbox, and you can trade at a whole different level. And we didn't have that capability 10, 20 years ago. Yeah. All right. So did you guys answer the poll? Less than half. Why? Are you guys shy? You don't have a pointy right-handed finger? You're like, I woodworking shop in high school. I lost my pointy mouse finger. Really? Half of you won't answer the question. Is it in shame? Is it embarrassment? You think it's stupid? What? Interesting. I wonder what it means. What does it mean that you won't answer the question? That's interesting, isn't it? Is it a deep psychological flaw? I don't know. You know? All right. Well, look, I'm going to click end. Really? You won't answer the question. I wonder what that means. That's scary to me. That's scary. Imagine you're going to ask an investor for money and you won't even answer a question like that. They're going to ask you tough questions. Imagine it's that you don't want to say you don't even know what it is. And oh my God, you need internal fortitude stronger than that, my friend. All right, well, I'm going to end it. About half you don't want to even answer a simple question. Wow. All right, well, okay, so congratulations to those that actually reviewed the COT report. Good. And so now you know what's interesting about this Kiwi, in particular with this longer term pattern. 40% of you said no. So I recommend that you try quantbox.co, or you can do the cftc.gov, and you can get the information for free. So let me show you. And here it is. Now, I do have a video on how to do it for free. And let me find that. It's in the description of the video that's playing. Hang on, do I have a YouTube? Oh my God. Wait, I might be able to get the link faster from this page. Here we go. Okay. This is the description below the video. This is the streaming software. All right, so Traders Wait, TRADARS.co, Radars for Traders, Investor Bootcamp, free video covering macro fundamental analysis. It's this one. I will show you how to do everything that QuantBox does for free. It's about an hour and a half. It's a legitimate webinar. It's not bullshit. And we cover multiple things. Oops. Wait, why did I do that? Hang on, let me go back. Maybe I didn't copy it. YouTube.at. Huh. Is that the wrong one? Free daily. Oh, that's this one. It's the wrong link anyways. No, that's the wrong one. Here it is. Free 90-minute lecture on fundamental analysis. Sorry. Wrong one. Hey, man, it's hard to do live streams and think at the same time. All right. It's this one. And I'll explain. For example, this is where you get the information for free. You want to do current traders and financial futures. Okay, you don't want options. And there's the information. But let me give you this in case you're not in this. It's free. It's free, dude. It's free. Yes, there is a sales pitch. Don't worry about it. You don't have to sign up if you ain't got no money. It's fine. Don't worry about it. But pay attention to the information because I swear to you, it's good. Okay? And then, of course, at the end, I tell you, well, I can do all this for you automatically. But you still need to know this information. So, like, you look at, let's see if we could even find what I'm talking about. Canadian dollar, Swiss franc, British pound, Japanese yen. See where we are? Euro, but that's not euro as you think of it. There we go. Australian dollar. Remember, euro dollars are not euro versus dollar. Euro dollars are dollars in European banks. Technically, any bank outside the United States. But at one point in the world, it was only that meant euro. All right. Kiwi dollar. What you're looking at here, right, are long and short positions. And they tell you by dealers or asset managers, long and short. Okay. Hedge funds, long and short. Other reportable, other non-reportable. So this is retail. So you can see retail investors are long New Zealand dollar. Leveraged hedge funds are neutral. And asset managers are very long, much longer. Now, what you want to look at is changes, okay, in these different constituencies, if you will. And you can see here 8,600 more longer, if I may. Are you guys okay with longer, more long? And less bears. There's almost 9,000 more bulls on Kiwi dollar week over week, and there's 100 less bears. It's extraordinarily more long. I knew this days ago because I already reviewed this report. Oh my God! Yeah. So think of it this way. 40% of you said you knew this, and 60% of you said you didn't. Now, who has an advantage? That you didn't know these two numbers. Now, of course, I reviewed every single one of these pairs. Nice, right? So I went through every one of these pairs, and 40% of you did as well. So you know what's going on with the S&P 500. In today's video, I compared NASDAQ to S&P to Dow, and in particular, how institutional investors treat changes in beta. That was covered this morning. And that's what we do at Quantbox. So where do you get that for free? Do you want it for free? Okay, youtube.com. youtube.com/@Quantbox. And we cover that information here. But once again, why don't you just pay the $80? What's holding you back? Oh, it's just a sales pitch. Wayne is only doing this so that he can get rich. Um, Dude, you have an emotional problem. If that's your thing. You're like, really? That's why you won't do it? Huh. Okay, you're worried about me, but not you. Okay. That's okay. But we've all been burned in the past, right? I was burned. The only time I paid money for some training was this guy that was doing pivot point training in the beginning, and I was learning pivot points, and I'm like, oh, there's a guru. And he didn't tell you how to calculate pivot points. There wasn't even M lines. I think there was just R lines and S lines and a central. And I paid some money, and I was going to read his book. Like, it was more of a pamphlet training course written, right? And I was going to read this book while I was on vacation. So I was taking my wife on vacation through Radium Hot Springs. I remember reading. So I'm in a place called the Eagle's Nest in Radium Hot Springs, with view of the mountains below me and the sun rising, and I had a beautiful cup of coffee, and I'm reading this training on pivot points. And he said it was like flying an airplane. So if all the pivot points told you to buy, which is stupid, they don't tell you to buy, but this was his training. He said if they all said to buy and you were buying and losing money, he said it's like an airplane. You just fly upside down and do the opposite. Just start selling. I'm like, what? This is like the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Dumbest. So if you're buying and losing money, why don't you just sell it? Oh my God. So anyways, that was the first and the last time I ever spent money. Now, you probably have gone through a couple of gurus, maybe more than that. And you're like, so it takes a while for trust to be built up. Okay. Football's like, is it $80 a month or annual? What's your best guess? Something that costs millions of dollars to build. What's the price? Now, if Investor Boot Camp is $88 a year, yeah. 80 bags, Bubba. It's a lot of money. Yeah. TK's like, yeah. Well, of course. Yeah. All right. What is that? One trade? All right. Let's see. Pivot points. What should we do? Should we move over? Why don't we take a look at that? Well, we had a pound Aussie on Friday. Did you guys attend my my presentation at FX Street on Friday? We had a trade plan that traders outlined for us. And traders on Friday said there's a line here and a line here, and that the plan should be up and then down and then out. How many people attended that and saw this trade plan? I literally had to draw it up because we were over here at the time and said you have to let it go up. It had already done a little bearish candle and then popped back up above the line. But I had it come up to 194.43 and then down to 193.60 or something. I can't remember the precise number, but I drew it. So our trade plan on Friday was let it rise up in the morning and take profit in the afternoon. And That was all developed by artificial intelligence. Cool. And it's flipped on us now, back the other way. Well, we also analyzed this morning in the Commitment to Traders report this the positioning of Aussie is quite weak. Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, so traders snuck a little scalp in there. It hit entry, it hit target, and now it's done. Huh. Whale oil B. MR fish. CDBDIs. Okay, what else? What's going on with Pissy? Okay. Well, there might have been a role reversal opportunity early for you today. Okay, the entry is here at 107, and the target for pound Swissy is 115.5. Okay, so there's the strategy. What are the tactics? The tactics are ride the moving averages. You are in buy the dip mode. Up, 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 down, down, buy. Okay, higher, high. What are you going to do? Buy the dip. Buy the dip, buy the dip, and take profit at 115. We're only at 112. There's 300 more pips. Mm. 300 more pips. What do you think? So that would be a strategy. So now you either buy in 100% of that, or you're 100% not into that. There's no wishy-washiness in your trading. So now maybe on this 1 hour, you look at the world through a completely different lens. Okay, you could roll reversal this zone. Oh, that didn't draw. Okay. Or you fib it, okay? Or you bias pivot the sucker. So let's go in. You ready? Custom biased pivots. My name is Wayne McDonald and I'm a bull. I want daily pivots and I want midpoints. So I have conservative and aggressive targets. I enter and today's trade is already done. It's Monday and you already missed it. This is why the day trading group meets on Sundays. I love saying this. If you log in on Monday morning and you say, "What's up, fellas?" We're already taking profit. Look at the trade plan. Remember, this is only a bullish buying zone. It's labeled, for crying out loud, bullish buying zone. Green means up, son. What's this? We just hit the conservative target and precisely to the pip held price. So now it's Monday morning and we're setting up tomorrow's trade. Tomorrow's trade lives here, which is another version of what I just drew. Roll reversal. So I just drew this. That's a roll reversal trade. Okay. Then I drew Fibonacci. And there's that trade. And now we call this confluence. Doesn't matter what technique you use, whether it's price action, pivot points, Fibonacci, or moving averages, your trade plan is going to be a version of this in the next 24 hours. Now, I know it sounded a little pissy, but was that helpful? Hopefully clear, hopefully helpful, hopefully either enlightening or reinforcing. Okay. Why is pound strong? All right. Can we think? Let's think 9 months in advance. Let's talk about the end of the year. On December 31st, Frank, on December 31st, 2024, will interest rates in the United States be higher, lower, or the same, in your opinion? Just the United States. Will the Fed cut, raise, or keep the same? Okay, lower. In Europe, will the ECB raise interest rates, keep them the same, or cut by the end of the year? How about Canada? If the Fed's going to cut, is Canada going to cut? Okay, well, you should get some certainty on that. Okay, Quant Box has a chart for you. It will actually tell you. Okay, now the logic of Great Britain. Are they going to cut? Or keep the same? Or raise? Uh-huh. I sense some uneasiness. CAD not sure. Pound, I hear crickets. Yeah. So here's the thing. Tim says the same. They have high inflation and zero GDP. Negative GDP, but we'll call it zero GDP. So they may be in a situation where they just can't cut. So if everyone else cuts, the Bank of England may not be able to cut, and we call that central banking divergence. Yeah, this is where you can bend the time-space continuum with your mind. No, wait, that's a movie. No, this just means there's a difference between the Bank of England and the ECB and the Fed. And if the others are cutting and the UK is not, then at some point in the future, Great Britain will have higher interest rates and it'll become a money magnet. which is disinflationary, they might actually want it. The United States wouldn't want it, but the UK might. So there's your crystal ball. By the way, QuantBox has all this charted out and graphed for you, and it does all the comparative analysis. It does all the. It tells you what the economic staff at the Bank of England has already projected. I mean, we have all this information so deep, but so clearly organized. I mean, it's impressive. Let's just say that. At the very least, it's impressive. So it's good to know, right? It's good to know. Doesn't predict the future, but you do know reality. Yeah. So pretty killer. Okay? Pretty killer. Oops. It's good to know these things, right? Yeah, well, you got to know. You got to know these things. You got to know everything. You got to have more verve than the average person. You have to have more inquisitiveness. You got to want to be the best and drive for it. It's not that you become the best. It's that you try. So I was at the Concours d'Elegance auction, and I was with my son, and they were bringing cars out. And I'm like, son, don't be a poser. You don't go to a car auction without bidding. You got to get the first bid. You got to get the first bid. So anyways, a Porsche, a 1988 Porsche 959 came out, which is one of the fastest Porsches ever made. And the guy, like 2 rows in front of us, like right there. I mean, you could slap him on the shoulder. He bought this car for $2.8 million. My son's like, oh man, that's a lot of money for a car. I wonder what he does. I'm like, look, here's the thing. Here's how the world works, son. It's really, 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 really difficult to make $1 million. But then you cross some threshold. And then all of a sudden, there are much bigger goals and aspirations. And for this guy, whatever he does, he wanted to buy the car. For some reason, he loves this car. $2.8 million, to him, it's worth it. Now, either it's the most special car in the world, or he's got a lot more money laying around, and $2.8 million isn't that big of a deal. So I'm like, so for most people, that sounds like an extraordinary amount of money. And for 90% of people on Earth, or 99% of people on Earth, it is extraordinary. But I'm like, you know what's cool, son, is if you study hard, you become smart, and you go to good school, and you get a great education, and you get a great job, and you play your money, because it's play it. You play the strategies well. I said, I think you could buy a car like this when you're my age. Not that I'm going to give him lots of money, but he's a teenager, and he already has thousands of dollars in his Roth IRA. He has a retirement account with thousands of dollars, growing at 10 to 20% a year. Like, it's phenomenal. And so he'll be able to do it, right? And so what's the point of the speech here? It's the attitude, I think. Now, for some people, you're born just in the wrong spot on Earth. And I'm sorry, I can't change that. It's hard. Many countries, you're not even allowed to have a Forex trading account. You're like, if you're born in Iran or Zimbabwe or North Korea, like, oh my God, right? But here's the thing. For most people that have any, and as long as you have a laptop and an internet connection and a credit card, or Cuba, absolutely correct, Meta. But Cubans are probably good at Forex because they're constantly trading pesos for foreign currency. Although they treat the American dollar and the Canadian dollar and the British pound probably all exactly the same. So if you want to make some money, you can like convert your Canadian dollars into American dollars in Cuba and probably benefit. But anyways, and by the way, mate, I've heard they've run into some very serious food shortages. Oh my God. Yeah. Well, if you don't have fuel for your tractors, if you don't have fuel for your fishing boats, no, is it? 300. Wow. So 1 year ago, it was 100. And then 6 months ago, it was 200. Now it's 300. Holy smokes. Well, I'm planning on going back in January, February of 2025. I might do a documentary, actually. So the guy I talked to is filing permits with the government to do a documentary. And I'm like, oh, I know people in Cuba. So anyways, whatever. As long as we keep coming back and putting money in people's hands, not necessarily the government's hands, people's hands, but we'll see. So going back to this, it's like, look, I think if you try to be extraordinary, and the emphasis here is not think, the emphasis is try. No matter what holds you back from greatness, if you try despite that, I'm convinced you have a better than an equal chance of becoming some level of extraordinary. Extraordinary people typically try really hard. And being extraordinary is typically inconvenient. It's typically expensive in your time, but also the sacrifice. So you're like, well, it's hard, Wayne. I'm a full-time student, or Wayne, I have young children, or Wayne, I have to have a part-time job. I'm like, well, get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. Give up all your holidays, work weekends. Once again, one example I can give you is when I went to Harvard for 5 years, I gave up all my weekends. I gave up my summers. I gave up vacations. I gave up time with my family for 5 years. That's a real sacrifice. Oh, and I gave up, I could have bought a Ferrari, but I have a Harvard degree instead. So I had to give up some money too. Well, these are all investments and sacrifices, right? But I have really smart kids now. Maybe it's partially because they saw Dad do the work. Cool. I don't know. But it was trying. Another great example from my own life is growing up in rural Canada in a little town with one street light. One street light. I remember a moment in time when Nike Airs first came out. Do you guys remember the first Nike Air ad where you could buy cross trainers with the little window in the heel of your foot, and it was Bo Jackson, and he was wearing football shoulder pads and his arms around a baseball bat? Do you guys remember that? At that time, I was standing, it was a gas station. That's where I used to hang out because they had a video game there and soda. So I'm a high school kid. And I'm standing there, and I felt like I didn't belong in this town. I was different from all the other children. I wanted to be a real boy. But I did feel out of place, honestly. So it was hard, right? The freaks and geeks of the world. I was an entrepreneur. Nobody was an entrepreneur there. I wanted to see the world. I wanted to go to opera houses. I wanted to listen to symphony as well as, back then it was before really Metallica. I mean, they were there, but before I was interested. Before Beastie Boys. I mean, dude, like, this is a long time ago. But I wanted to do things. I wanted to be, I don't know, extraordinary. I didn't even know what that meant. I had no education of even knowing what that meant. But I remember standing there and I said, I want to get out of here. I want to see the world and I want to be successful and cultured. And I'm telling you, it seemed impossible. Really, it did. And you might have been in a situation like this. I don't know. I don't know if this relates to you or not. But I was nowhere. I was literally in the middle of nowhere. And I wanted to go anywhere but here. But I wanted to see everything. I wanted to meet everybody. I wanted to try everything. But with no means, no money. Oh my God, money? Okay. Well, approximately 5 years later, I was wearing my first suit, going to my first board meeting in New York City for the first time, traveling to Wall Street, where the prestigious law firm was in a skyscraper. Got elected to the board of directors with George Soros. And I was equals with senior executives from, you've heard the story a million times, but General Electric, Arthur Andersen, there was someone from the United Nations. What an amazing 5 years. Now, maybe it was 6 years, but it wasn't 20. And that's extraordinary, but I can tell you I put a lot of effort between those years. And to me, it wasn't something extraordinary, except I tried, you know? And so you gotta push, man. You gotta push, and it's the act of trying. So I was just elected to a board of directors 3 weeks ago. So I had to interview for this, right? So I knew people on the board, and they said, you know, there's a committee that, I keep forgetting it. The committee that nominates, I guess it's the nomination committee. And then you get, once you've been nominated, they ask, and would you be interested? And you're like, yeah, totally. And then you go through the nominations committee, then takes you through an interview process, right? And so I log in to the meeting. It's a Zoom call, and it's the person that's in charge of the nonprofit. So the senior director, the executive director of the nonprofit, and a couple of board members. One is a former partner for Ernst & Young Europe, and the other one was a representative of the United Nations. She dialed in from the UN in Geneva. And that could be intimidating, but I came from a world where when I was 20, I was an equal. So I was impressed, but I'm like, but I've been in this spot before. And all of it is just leading from just keep driving. So we go all the way back. Let's go all the way back to trading. I'm convinced that most of you can succeed as Forex traders. Some of you won't. You just don't got it. You know that right stuff? Maybe you don't got it. Now, you should get mad when I say that. That should irk you. You should say, I don't like hearing that. I hope you just had a negative response to like, ugh, not me. Good, because you're going to have to be a fighter. Because when you go to try to raise money, people are going to tell you no all the time. No, I don't like you. No, I don't want to invest in you. No, you're not right for me. Well, you got to fight for it. And you don't take no for an answer. You follow up with them. For years, you follow up with them. Just politely and kindly follow up with them. Send them an email. Hey, I know we met. I know we met 3 years ago, but I hope you don't mind that every 6 months I send you updates on how the fund is doing. I just want to stay in touch. I know you said no in 2021, but I wanted to stay in touch with you. Here's the performance of the hedge fund over the last 6 months. I'd like to, when the time is right, I'd love to meet with you again. And you never take no for an answer, right? Maida's like, I don't like hearing that. And that's where you got to fight, right, Maida? Yeah, and that's you're like, well, I am doing this. Right. Because the whole time, and by the way, the more successful you get, the more people will hold you down. So you got to be there. And then you just, all of a sudden, you develop a lifestyle of this is what you do. Now, I did a lot of thinking recently, and at some point soon, I'm going to officially launch, if you will, a new organized thought process for all these different services that I run. I run them for me because I need these tools. I run these for me because I need you. I wake up early and I stay sharp for you, but then I benefit, right? You see, there's a symbiotic relationship here. And there's been sort of, from the beginning, there's been pieces missing. And there's been developments in our industry over the last couple of years, like AI, that allows us to move to a whole new level. And I've been absorbing all this, because I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a visionary, but, it takes a while to get the vision. And then once you get the vision, you see where you can take all these floating pieces that are floating around and you put them into one vision and you say, I see these as Lego steps. So I want to share with you this idea where you come to Investor Bootcamp, I teach you how to be a trader. Video training, live training, and you learn the ropes, but you get the attitude and the process, right? Then you start to learn fundamentals, and I can get you Quant box. So now you have a fundamental analyst working with you as you're learning how to be a trader. And then you get traders.co, where now you have a technical analyst giving you trade plans, but you're smart enough, like you see all the technical trade plans, but you're smart enough because you're getting good fundamentals where you know which ones to be happy about and which ones you're less excited about because you're filtering them through your own bias, not just listening to some dumb computer pump out a bunch of technical analysis. You still need to be the smart person in the room and not just trading what a bunch of AI tells you. That would be stupid. So, but I'm like, I think I can train you how to be the smart one. And you use these as tools. So I'm teaching you to be a portfolio manager. Then you add a fundamental associate. Then you add a technical analyst. And you're becoming a business. You see that? You're becoming a sustainable business. So once I can get you that, so you know how to be a trader, you know your fundamentals, you have good technicals, now what? I'm going to hook you up with prop funds. I'm going to get you your first 100,000, maybe your first 500,000. And I want to stay with you for years to come while you're trading prop fund money, because now they're becoming more legitimate. And it seems to be way easier than you starting an offshore hedge fund, going through the regulatory process that even that requires, and then doing all the paperwork, and then doing all the road shows and pitches and closing of clients and managing of clients and all that. Like, trust me, that is a ginormous step. And this could be that track record that you build. You're like, well, I traded 5 $100,000 accounts at these prop funds, and I was growing at 25% a year, And now you have this track record trading OPM, other people's money. I'm like, well, now that's becoming legitimate. I want to help you do that. I want all these tools to lead you to money and success and independence. I want you to quit your job if that's your goal and make $250,000 a year trading prop fund money. Oh my God, that's now possible. So let's do it. Let's you and me do that. And so that's the new vision that I'm like, how do I pull all this amazing resources, all these amazing resources together with a laser focus? So that's where I'm going now. That's where I'm going as far as I need to start talking to these prop firms. I need to know their sort of angle of attack, but most importantly, their level of legitimacy. But I've raised millions of dollars in funds. And remember, when you raise millions of dollars in funds, like a hedge fund, how much do you get to keep? 20%? 10%? It's not a lot. So if a prop firm's like, well, I'll only give you 100,000, I'm like, 100,000, that's it? But you can keep 90% of the money. All of a sudden you started adding it up. You're like, well, that's like having a $5 million account if it was a hedge fund. Well, hell's bells. And then, of course, if you're successful there, why don't you just get 5 $100,000 accounts? All of a sudden, you're like, okay, now it's equivalent of you raising 25 million. Which one's harder to do? Raising 25 million, handling all the compliance and all the customer service, or having 5 prop accounts with $100,000 in each account? Which one's easiest? Oh my God, the prop is so stupidly easy compared to what I had to do in the past. Like, dude, this is, so now so help me find the legitimate prop funds, and then I'll learn everything I can. I'll develop all kinds of resources, and I'll teach you how to trade it right. I'll pull them all in. I'll give you the fundamental tools, the technical tools, the training, the support, the performance coach. We'll get you into the program, and we'll get you a career. Then all of a sudden there's one cohesiveness, right? And I love it. Okay? Is this the right vision? Is this a vision that you share? I'd like to have testimonies from 100 people I put into prop funds that are earning, like, not just like I earned $500 trading a prop fund. I want to know that it's like significantly contributing to your standard of living. For some of you, it might be like, this became my career. You're making, I don't know what it is, $5,000, $25,000, whatever that number is. I want to know, like, dude, let's do that. Okay? So the next thing, if you have a legitimate prop fund that you're working with and you've already passed the courses and you're making thousands of dollars a month without any problems withdrawing money, please send me an email, Wayne@FX Bootcamp. I want to know who it is. Tell me that you've signed up, you passed everything, and you're earning thousands of dollars, not hundreds. I'm not interested. Thousands, 2,000, 3,000, 5,000, 10,000. I want to know where you are, what size account it is, what company it is, and I'm going to call them. I'm going to talk to them, and see what's what. Get others in. Yeah? So that's not official, but I'm just telling you, I spent, the weekend thinking about this. And I see it. And I'm like, oh my God. Especially the idea, I never thought about it because I always thought it was all bullshit. So I never even thought about it. But now there's been changes happening in the industry and it's becoming more legitimized. Okay, great. But if you had five $100,000 accounts, I think you could actually make some money. Okay? Because you can't make 10 grand a month on a $100,000 account. You just no. But if you had 500,000, you could make 10,000 easily. You see? And so that's like, I didn't like how they were doing sales pitches to people that were desperate and in poverty. That really bothered me. But if there's a clear path where you can make 10 grand a month, that doesn't put you in the top 1% in the United States. But I could see how you could possibly live on it. I could see it's a legitimate baseline, okay amount of money. Like it's something. It's not just pennies to poor people. So I'm like, okay, if I could see that you can make 10 to 20 grand a month and I can help you do that, well, then let's do that. That's what I want. That's what I want. Okay. And now I don't know if I can shake the thought. My worry is I start doing more research and I start talking to these firms and it's still bullshit in my mind. That's why I need you to say, dude, Wayne, I've been with this firm for a year and a half now, and I've been making a couple of grand a month, but for, 15 months in a row, whatever, like convince me they're real and I'll prop up the prop. Yeah. So I still need some convincing, but having seen the CFTC and other regulatory agencies frighten some of these firms, shut down some of these firms. Meta quotes getting fearful, so they shut down ones that they think are high risk. So we're flushing out the weakest. You see? The old and the sick, right? We're culling the herd. So this is great. So some of these firms have paid out $100 million or more. I'm like, okay, I'm going to talk to these guys. All right, well, I got to go, guys. The market's going to open in 15 minutes. So let me repeat all the different things. Traders.co, TRADARS, radars for traders. That's probably going to launch in 2 weeks or less, probably 2 weeks. I need some time. But it's nearly ready. It's beautiful. It works. It's really good. The upgrade stuff, actually, I developed it first. Usually I develop it later, but I've set it up. So last time when I launched Quant Box, right, I had a whole bunch of people pay for a year in advance. then I had it built. And then it was in business for 6 months or something. And then there was some upgrades and more upgrades and more upgrades. As money came in, I built more and more and more. It makes sense, right? So I took all the money coming in and then I reinvested it and it got bigger and bigger over time. This time around, I decided just go all in. So I'm all in. I should launch it right now and make money. I need income because you understand? But in this case, I decided I have the developers developing. So I'm like, can you do this? Can you do this? Can you add this? Can you add this? Can you do this? Can you do this? Keep building, keep building, keep building, keep building. And I'm at the point now where the development team over the weekend, when I got back from the Concours d'Elegance, I looked at it and I'm like, oh my God. Like, it's essentially ready. Now the process that manages members and all that kind of stuff, I need to tweak that and make that pretty. And there's I have to do a business trip. I want to go talk to the development team and stuff like that. And but 2 weeks is more than enough. It's ready to go. I could show it to you right now, and you'd be amazed. I'm happy. Like I'm not I can be a grumpy old man. I look at what we've built for traders.co and I'm very happy. It's like, oh my God, this is really something. So cool. So we're about 2 weeks away. You need to get on that list. I'm not going to offer it to anybody that's not on the list for a while because I want your feedback. TRADARS.co. Is it going to load? What's up? Why isn't it loading? Is my internet down? It's not loading. Well, that's okay because that's actually not the official site. It's sitting on something else. Why is it not loading? TRADARS.co. Did I do it right? Oh, and then it just popped up. Okay. I don't know why it was like that. I'm going to ask you $100 a month. Let's say. I talked to an institutional investor 2 weeks ago. And I showed him what we developed. And he's like, how much are you going to charge? And I said, I don't know, 100, 150. He's like, 150? He's like, why wouldn't you charge? He's like, Bloomberg's 2,200. He's like, he'd pay $1,000 a month. He's like, don't do it. Don't do it for $100. It's too awesome. And I swear to you, this is truth. He's like, don't do it for $100. He's like, that's dumb. Not a sales pitch. That's the honest truth. He's like, no, don't do that. So, and it is the truth, by the way. It is the truth. You're like, that's not a truth. It is the truth. You're like, good sales pitch, Wayne. Okay, that might be, but it is the truth. That is what he said to me. So put your name on that list and I'll show it to you. I'm going to ask you a few questions of like, what do you want to pay? And at some point I have to officially show it to you and do an official launch. Okay. So, and for everybody else, you might not be invited for until the end of the year. So please put your name on the list if you're remotely interested in this. And I'm telling you, it's extraordinary. All right, so I got to go. You got to go. Thank you for being part of this community. Thank you for using Traders Way. Thank you for using Investor Bootcamp. Thank you for using Quant Box. Thank you for what you do and everything that you do. You do it so well. Peace on earth. May the pips be with you. May your profits be above average. Cheers. That just happened.